2020, folks. Where's the time gone, eh? Come on, you lot. Let's go and get some exercise. Let's try and walk off some of this booze. Well, it's New Year's Day, guys, and I think we went to bed, but I'm not sure what time it was. We're playing Uno cards till God knows what time, and not for money, might add, not allowed in Thailand. Toon's unfortunately got to go off and get some gatin for the goats, and I've got the job of taking care of the horde for an hour or two. That bleating's going right through me. Come on, let's go. Escape. Stop your shaking and let's go, buddy. Hey, down here. Come on. Tell me we've got the first goat in history that can't climb. Let's go. Bad mum Brownie. Leaving your kid. So she's left Owenetta, not really to fend with for herself. She doubles up with Scape down here. With his mum Blackie. She's pretty easy going. But it's good to see them interacting with the what we call the horde. Rebel horde, I think, is probably the best phrase for this lot. So it's just nice to get out a couple of hours and blow the cobwebs away. Have a chat with this lot. So today really is a bit of a heads up on us looking forward to what lays ahead in the new year. Mainly being the projects and the challenges that are laying ahead. Now, as far as projects go, it's pretty big. Pretty big. And while it's still the dry season, which we'll come on to soon, the plan is now, you can see the width of our Ho Seasons canal barge holidays around the outside here. That is going to be at least doubled, almost trebled. We'll see what it looks like as it goes along. So a lot of the earth is going to get excavated that way. We're going to put in a road with this moon rock, so all the subsoil, if you can call it that, off there is then going to make its way from this road here. It's going to go down there and then across back onto the lake here into a huge island called Goat Island. That's right. So we're going to do the goat mothership, the biggest goat ship probably seen on this earth. That's going to be plonked in the middle, and there's going to be one road and bridge, as I say. It's going to be over there, going onto there. We have got another little bit of a dam over the far side over there, and there is an access road onto it down here. They are both going to be removed. So then there'll be a robust gate system, which is goat proof, if there is such a thing. For those of you who are thinking, oh Lee, can't believe you're not doing a fishing lake. It will be a fishing lake. It's still huge, this area. So we've got, at present we've got 6 stock ponds. 4 of them are stuffed full of fish. Those ponds will be drained and the fish will be the initial stock to go in here. Well, there's a lot of fish in here already, but it's mostly small stuff, mostly walking catfish and mixed wild fish and a lot of tilapia. But we're going to put the big stuff in here as well that we've been growing. On top of that, we will not be doing bungalows, not for the foreseeable future. It's purely a financial thing. But we will be doing designated fishing platforms that can take tents, and we will have tents available for rent. People are more than welcome to bring their own camping gear and set up themselves. For people that want to visit and camping or glamping is not your scene, back in the village, which is back over there, about a 3-minute drive from here, we've got the village house, and it's all air-conned and proper comfy bed. So people that want to visit and don't want to end up in a tent can go and stay there, no problem. The next thing, the next project rather, has already started. Toon and I have been doing this and it's bloody hard going. You can see the house over there. We've started a goat fence around the perimeter of the land, and we've got to about there. We've come almost 100 metres. We've got 100-metre rolls. We bought 3 initially, and wow, it's brilliant fencing. But yeah, it's a hard old job. We're going to have to put some posts in on this side when we come this way. Basically, we're going to fence the whole area, and then as the numbers increase of the herd, we will then incorporate cell grazing, which sounds posh. It just means that you keep moving the goats around on different areas of your land, so it lets pasture or scrub or brush or whatever regenerate before you let the goats back on there. So you can feed many more goats in a smaller area, although we have got quite a large area. But it also helps to keep parasite issues down to a minimum as well, rather than them grazing on the same area of land where they're crapping all the time. So that's the plan for there. So that's the goats all sorted. Other than we are continually looking to increase the herd, as well as the girls doing a glorious job giving us 2 kids at the moment, and the rest of them are all pregnant as well, apart from Mr. Tumnus, obviously. Yeah, we will be looking to greatly increase the numbers on the farm. This is going to be our main focus now, if you haven't already grasped that. We're hell-bent on the idea of going full throttle on the goats and concentrating not solely on that, but yeah, it's the way forward for us. The next fairly big project that we need to get sorted is the block work around the crayfish pond. That way we can start moving our larger crayfish, but we're also going to increase our numbers of tanks as well and keep breeding pairs of adult crayfish in those, and then as you get the juveniles, start populating the earth ponds. We've had several inquiries about supplying, well, not really supplying restaurants, but I suppose you'd call them middlemen, and so it looks pretty good. I mean, Toon and I'll eat bucket loads of them as well, and when people visit us as well, I'm sure they'll like to eat them. But it looks like we'll have a decent market for it. There's a lot of Falang out here that like to eat crayfish as well, so that shouldn't be an issue. The good thing about the crayfish, the same as the goats, they cost practically chuff all to keep. The only really expense is housing housing goats and fencing goats, and creating barriers for the crayfish. Apart from that, it's almost free. After that, we've still got to sort out our second smaller solar system shack that was destroyed in the storm. We would have liked to have had that done earlier, but the goats are the most important thing at the moment. We're still running 2 solar systems right now, but we need to get the little outside shack back up and running properly. Long term, ideally, we'd like to increase the solar power capacity. So we've probably got enough batteries, but we can add. We'll try just adding another 3 or 4 panels to the main house system that we've got at the moment. The next thing is irrigation. With the solar being down for a little while, we stopped pumping water to the bamboo, and once we sorted the solar out again and started pumping, we then had all the bamboo cleared, and the people that kindly came and cleared all the weeds for us, unfortunately cut through several areas of the irrigation pipe work. So we've got to sort that out. But we do realise now that we have come to a real dry period, probably the earliest dry period that I've known and Toon's known in Thailand. Solar just isn't powerful enough not to do 50 palms and about 160 bamboo plants. So we're going to go something a bit more meaty and petrol driven, and then we'll pump straight out of here, up and over, big anaconda pipe, and straight onto the bamboo and palms there. So that's quite a big installation irrigation wise. Kind gentleman's donated us some sprinkler heads that he no longer required. So we'll see how far they get us. We're not bothered about the eucalyptus, just it takes care of itself really. We're mainly starting to use that now for building, although it does have its limitations of course. Some of our eucalyptus has been in about 2.5 years now, and on the side here you can see there's some really nice sized pieces of timber there. But if we don't need to build anything and we're not strapped for cash, then we'll just leave them to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then use them if and when we need to. So that's the irrigation, and it's really high on our list for this year. And 2 reasons. One, the soil around here just can't retain moisture very well. Water's in, water's out, that sort of thing. So, you know, it's a constant battle with that and trying to steadily improve it over time. I'm sure we'll get there, but it just takes time building up the organic matter in there. That's one of the reasons we're going to put this road this way coming to the island rather than straight down there, and putting it this way will be on contour, because you probably can't see it from here, but the land slopes upwards, so it creates sort of like a swale which will hold moisture back on that side, which is where it really needs it. The stuff that's growing near here hasn't dried out yet. If and when the rains do come, this lake fills up incredibly quick. I mean, considering how big it is, the volume of water soon increases. But the good thing is it goes down very slowly. I mean, it's been so dry here, and yet it's dropped. Well, you can see on the other side there, if I can get my finger pointing calibrated, from there down to there, which from here looks about 2.5 foot, I would guess, which is bonkers. It really is bonkers. So of course when it's excavated more, it's gonna the capacity is gonna be at least doubled. So although we're taking the subsurface soil out of there, we're going to get the macro driver to keep the proper topsoil there before we let the goats on there. Once we've got it all nicely balanced out, we will then be planting it with lots of good pasture for the goats, keep them happy. Now of course, if we get a couple of 100 goats or more, it is a possibility. This won't keep them for very long. So rain season not too bad, because obviously the vegetation grows quickly. At the moment, with it being so dry, they're even getting down to the sugar cane now. So we will be having to open up the rest of the land. And I know some of you are concerned, saying, Lee, they're going to eat everything. Honestly, goats don't eat everything. If you give them a choice, they take the favourites. We can quite clearly see the stuff that they definitely don't like. And anything that they do, which we don't want them to eat, we will then be creating mini fences around those areas. The positives far outweigh the negatives in our opinion. The manure in the land and creating lots of nitrogen. They'll be keeping the weeds down. They've been a great help so far already, and that's only, well, we're up to 12 now, but the main period we've only had 10 of them. I think just the last one, not a huge project at the moment, but we finally got our worms from a kind chap called Chris. Thank you very much, Chris. His worm lady came up trumps. What you doing, Hoover? Chasing the kids? Settle down. You're right, Arnetta. She's a nutter, mate. At the moment, I put the worms into a block tank with a drain in the chicken house. They're doing fine in there. But the big plan I've got for them is when we create the goat mothership underneath the raised house, where all the manure and urine will go, and scraps of food. So like sometimes you feed them in the house, little bits of vegetation drop through as well. They will be falling into a worm pit. So hopefully we'll be able to create huge volumes of vermicompost. They reproduce very, very quickly, worms, so hopefully by the time that's all done, we'll have an army of worms to go in there. And if you don't know much about vermicompost, I mean, I've only been looking at it online, I'm very new to it. It is the stuff, combined with the biochar that we'll be doing. You can add your biochar to the manure that the worms are in, so it's inoculating it for you, it's feeding the worms, it's keeping the smell of the manure down, and then when you add that to your land, I think you've probably got the best of both worlds: vermicompost, manure, and biochar. I don't know, 200-300 goats, maybe 400, maybe 10,000 goats, I don't know. You think of how much organic matter that we can be creating from that and composting it. I predict that is not going to take a huge amount of time. Once we got the goat numbers up, then a biochar system, creating that, are going to create a huge pit. We're going to basically scale everything up now. We've had a go at lots and lots of things. In fairness, we've probably diversified a little bit too much. I know some of you have been concerned, but what it has done, guys, is give us an insight onto what works, what doesn't work, what could make a profit, what definitely doesn't make a profit, and how to be most efficient with our time. It's a lovely morning. It's quite cool. It's not great for the solar. It's quite overcast, but I haven't had an overcast day for quite some time. I don't know how long it will last. Hopefully that's just giving you a bit of a heads up on our plans for the coming year. So just to recap: creating the lake, Goat Island, the goat mothership. That's going to be one hell of a construction project, and it's going to be built to last. It's going to be the concrete posts and proper metal roof, and there's going to be very few timbers used in the construction. Going to be a lot of metal work as well. The built-in vermicompost system underneath that. The fishing platforms that will double up for anyone that wants to fish through the night, set up a tent and barbecue the fish that they catch. Apart from a giant maycong, no one's eating those. So if you get caught with one of those on your barbecue when they walk around like a bailiff, you get thrown in the lake. Then we're doing all the irrigation for the bamboo and the palms, and don't forget we're also sorting out the crayfish, going to increase the numbers of those as well, so that once the catfish have ate all your flesh, we'll then throw your bones in the crayfish pond and they'll finish you off that way. Right, my horde has split up. The main group has gone all the way around the outside, and over there they found the last little bit of pak bung that's edible. That's what I was saying, that they don't eat everything. If they're given a choice, they'll walk quite far to find what they like. And a couple of the girls have found what they like down there, and they've let the others go. Normally goats don't like being on their own, but if there's 2 or 3 of them and they find something they like, they won't follow the others. But not long they'll start screaming, and then they'll all start panicking and come back. We're anticipating about another 3 to 4 weeks, which is a bit of a guesstimate to be fair, of the next round of goat kids being born. The reason it's so sketchy, guys, is because the dates were sketchy off the people that we purchased these goats. All the goats that we bought so far, apart from the first 3, were already up the duff, and they were a little bit sketchy on their due dates. But looking by the shape of them and how they're acting, yeah, we think we've got about another 3 or 4 weeks. As far as naming the baby goats go, we will continue this, and thankfully we've already got a sponsor for the next baby girl goat. If you're interested in sponsoring any of our naming rights for newborn goats, just drop us a message in the comments, or send us an email or something like that. Okay, I'm gonna carry on having a little wander around and try and walk off the alcohol from last night. I've had my fill, to be fair, I really have. It's been lovely because, well, we've still got Toon's family over. They were lucky enough to get some extended holiday, so we got them, well, for another good few days yet, which is nice because they help out with the cooking and that sort of thing. Today is going to be mostly dry for Lee and Toon, and for quite some time after that. And I think fish is on the menu. I think I had about 2 kg of pork last night, which is, it's not good for the waistline, is it? Right then, what could do with an electrolyte? The other challenge that we've got really coming up affects us all. That's right, you included. And we all heard the phrase climate change, I'm sure. But what you may not have heard of before are solar minimums, and this time round we're just at the start of a grand solar minimum. So if you don't know what that is, like I didn't till one of our subscribers came and visited us a while back and got me interested in it. Once you start looking at it, it's quite scary what's laying ahead climate wise for us. So if you just put grand solar minimum, what is it, on your Google search, you'll get to see why it's so important that, certainly, well, for all of us I know, but certainly for farmers, that you're growing the right thing and you're aiming towards self-sufficiency, which I know we're not at the moment. Even things like which animals you keep and can you feed them from your land. That's I think that's going to be huge. If you're buying animal feed, the grand solar minimum is going to have a massive impact on you. It's going to impact us all. But yeah, check it out. So I don't want to be all doom and gloom like it's the end of the world stuff. You know, some people get a bit carried away with things, but this thing is proven. It's happened time and time again in the history of time. So if you've got a little bit of a heads up on it, I wish we'd known about it a little bit earlier. But yeah, I just thought I'd briefly mention it. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I've only read and watched a few things online and spoken to one chap about it. There's loads of good information about it online. You know, if you're in the early stage of us, like setting up a homestead or farmstead or anything like that, you should be bearing this in mind. You hear it all the time, like, oh, this is the driest year for God knows how many years, and oh, we've got snow in bloody Chiang Rai or something like that. Well, it's not a coincidence. There's a proven track record of this sort of thing every few hundred years, and it's just the start. It's going to get quite bad, guys. So there you are. I've given you a nudge. Up to you if you want to have a look into it. So don't ask me any complicated questions about it. You'll get better. You get better information off more qualified people than I am. Come on, you lot. I start getting frustrated if we don't have a baby pop out during the day now. Got used to seeing a baby drop out every day. Catch you later, guys, and here's to a good 2020, and hope you enjoy our coming year.